Hey folks, thanks for watching. I'm Greg McCone. I practice IT service management and I've been learning a little bit about Lean. And I admire and enjoy reading about the Toyota production system and Kaizen. And Lean seems to be a bit of a North American adaptation of those approaches to improving quality. So I wanted to talk about two specific activities that I've now practiced that come out of the Lean toolbox, if you will, and my experience with them and some of the things I learned. One of the things that we practiced was go and see. And so the concept is that you can't sit in a boardroom with a stack of reports and understand what's really going on. You have to actually get out of your chair, head downstairs to where the workers are actually doing the work, and you have to see firsthand how they work. When you see firsthand, not only, if you're familiar with the work already, not only will you be able to detect whether things are going well or not, but all sorts of things will become apparent that would have been hidden. So I'll tell you about a situation. We went to see the work being performed by a bunch of folks who schedule procedures in the hospital. And so they were nice enough to let us come and let us observe and let us participate. And what we observed is there was a bunch of very busy people moving a lot of paper, and there was fax machines, and there were people coming and going, and there were doctors and there were patients. And so there was a lot of factors to take in. I was invited as a guest to observe, not having a level of expertise in that particular discipline. What stuck out for me when I walked in is there were 4 fax machines, and I didn't understand whether certain fax machines were for certain jobs or whether they all came to one fax machine or what that was. And so I wrote that down as something to ask about, because I was curious, you know, if a certain kind of work comes to one fax machine and that fax machine is exclusive to that work, that might be effective. As it turns out, what had happened was people would phone in this example, they would phone in and they'd get a busy signal because someone was already phoned in and using the fax machine. And so basically, if you've used a fax machine, you know how this works. You basically have to try your call again, you have to redial. So if you have a fancy fax machine on the other end that does that for you, that's great. If you don't, then basically you have to feed it the paper again and try and dial again and send that job. So the other fax machines were introduced so there'd be alternate phone numbers for them to dial. So dial this number, and if it's busy, try this number, and if that's busy, try this third number. So instantly, I understood that our telecommunications department could provide a rollover number. So you dial one number, and it'll go to the available fax machine. If the fax machine's busy, it'll just roll over to the next, to the next. So instantly, we went from 3 phone numbers to 1 phone number just by having the opportunity to walk in there and see the physical layout of how that was set up. And so for us, that was a real it was a real win to be able to come and contribute that knowledge just by going and seeing. And there were a number of other things too. There were people who spent all day with the phone against their head, getting a crick in their neck, rather than somebody making the purchase of a wireless headset for them that would allow them to stand up and get the faxes and come back to their desk without neck injuries. So that was another one that just sort of popped when we walked in. And there were many other discoveries that we made about how things got processed, and an understanding of how the different groups interacted and things we basically couldn't control. But those were 2 quick wins, if you will, that we were able to see instantly when we were invited as guests to come and participate in this activity. So that was a fun thing to do. And for me, it really illustrated the power of getting out of the office and going to where the work is being done in order to truly appreciate the environment that the workers are working in and to appreciate the challenges that they face. So that was really, really great. The next thing that I learned that I want to share with you was from the same day, the same exercises. After all sorts of things had been written down as suggestions to be implemented and basically brought back and organized. We had the opportunity to look at the recommendations and to evaluate them. We used a grid where things were rated as high value, low value, high effort, low effort. So we ended up with the simplest of diagrams, a quadrant, and the post-it notes for these different recommendations got stuck in a quadrant. If something was low value, high effort, it was labeled don't do. If something was labeled high value, high effort, it would require a project to implement, so it was put with projects. If it was low value but low effort, then it was put with quick wins. And then the real fun ones, if it was low effort, high value, it was put with gems. So the idea is you tackle the gems first because you're going to get the most value for the least effort, and then you can address quick wins and you can address projects depending on how your organization would like to spend its energy. So I wanted to share those ideas with you, and just on the topic of that quadrant and dividing things into gems, quick wins, projects, and don't do's, that was fantastic. I've been using that for all sorts of different things since then, and it's a really effective tool. I think primarily for the following reason. It doesn't allow you to put something in the middle. You can't put it in on medium, right? It's a medium value. No, it isn't. It's either high or low. So it forces you to make a choice that's, a little bit false. But in making that choice, you're essentially making the decision, are we going to work on this or not? So that was a delightful tool to discover. And I'm looking forward to learning more about Lean. If you have comments about those two approaches, or things that you've learned by either going and seeing or by evaluating things as high effort, high value, low value, I'd love to see your comments below. I'd love to learn a little bit more about that. Also, I'd like to hear how you got started working with Lean, if you work with Lean. So we work within the ITIL framework at work as we do IT service management, and using Lean is sort of a new concept to our organization. But one that certainly holds a lot of promise as we use the internal experts that we already have to spot the things everybody already sees in order to make improvements that can be achieved with really good bang for our buck. All right, thanks for your time. Appreciate you watching. Look forward to seeing your comments below. Subscribe if you want more videos. And I'm Greg McCone. I do IT service management and quality improvement. And have a great day. Cheers.